My head hurts. No, seriously, it actually hurts. Why did the Bilt 2.0 revamp have to be so convoluted? You shouldn't need a PhD in mathematics to understand the reward structure of your credit card. Now, complexity is one thing, but here's the real deal breaker. Bilt built its entire brand around one revolutionary idea, and that is to earn points on your rent payment. But after these changes, I don't even think it does that well. In today's video, we are breaking down the Bilt 2.0 revamp and why the card might have just lost its title as the king of housing expenses. If you're using the card for rent payment today, stick around till the end of the video to understand why I say that. As part of the Bilt 2.0 revamp, Bilt launched 3 credit cards. So let's go over those 3 credit cards in a little bit of detail. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but it's important to understand what the product offerings look like. We're going to start with the Bilt Blue card. This is their 0 annual fee credit card. It comes with a $100 Bilt Cash intro offer. It earns you 1% in Bilt Points and 4% in Bilt Cash on your everyday spend. A little later in the video, we'll explain what Bilt Cash is, but for now, let's just go through the cards. The second card on the lineup is the Bilt Obsidian card. This card comes with an annual fee of $95 and a $200 Bilt Cash intro offer. The card also comes with a $100 statement credit broken down into $50 every 6 months for hotel stays that you book through the Bilt travel portal. Remember that you need to book a minimum of 2 nights. In terms of earning potential, you earn 3x on a category of your choice and you can choose between dining and groceries. And you also earn 2x back on travel, 1x back on everything else. You also earn 4% Bilt Cash on everyday spend, except for payments that you make on rent or mortgage. And this card, in terms of protections, has better protections than the Bilt Blue card. Which brings us to the third card in the lineup, which is the Bilt Palladium card, which is their premium card in the segment. This comes with a $495 annual fee, a $300 Bilt Cash intro offer. You can also earn 50,000 points and get gold status with Bilt after you spend $4,000 in the first 3 months of card ownership. Similar to the Obsidian card, you also get a $400 statement credit here, which is broken down into $200 every 6 months. And this is for hotels booked through the Bilt travel portal. And here too, you have to stay a minimum of 2 nights. In addition, you get $200 Bilt Cash every single year. And this is separate from the intro offer on the card. You earn 2x Bilt Points on all of your spend, and you also earn 4% Bilt Cash like the other cards in the lineup. This card has better protections than the Bilt Obsidian card and also gives you access to a priority pass membership. In addition to the cards that have been introduced in the lineup, there's one other thing that has changed with the program, and that is the introduction of Bilt Cash. So let's understand Bilt Cash in a little more detail. Bilt Cash is a currency that has been created by Bilt in addition to their points system, and it is meant to serve 2 goals. Number 1 is it allows you to redeem this cash dollar for dollar for a bunch of categories like hotel bookings made through the Bilt portal or lift rides that you've taken. There are other categories as well, like fitness classes and home delivery. So if you're using any of these services, you can basically look at Bilt Cash at 100% of the value that you're getting on the card. There's a second goal that the Bilt Cash serves, and that is to allow you to earn points on your rent and mortgage payment when you're using your Bilt card. You no longer earn Bilt Points just by putting 5 transactions on your Bilt credit card every single month. One of the ways you can earn points on your rent and mortgage payment is by using your Bilt Cash to pay off the transaction fee associated with that payment. And the rate at which Bilt is allowing you to do that is for every $30 you earn in Bilt Cash, you can earn 1,000 points. And we'll come back to the math around this in a second, but it's good to know that this is another goal associated with the Bilt Cash offering. By this time, if your head isn't hurting, it sure will after this additional nugget. There was a lot of feedback from the credit card community and the Bilt community around these changes, and most of this feedback wasn't positive. So as of the recording of this video, which is the 19th of Jan, Bilt has introduced another nuanced change that was somehow supposed to help with all of this chaos. If you go back to the second goal with Bilt Cash, which is to be able to pay off the transaction fee so that you can earn Bilt Points on your rent and mortgage payment, that makes it very obvious that the rent and mortgage payment aren't free anymore. Sure, you don't have to pay transaction fees when you're paying through the Bilt portal, but you're also not earning any points, so what's the point of paying through the Bilt portal? And if you want to earn points, you have to pay up to show up at the party. This is one of the main reasons why there was a lot of pushback on the program. So Bilt introduced another way for you to be able to earn points outside of using Bilt Cash to pay for points. So obviously there is that option where you can pay $30 for every 1,000 points for your rent and mortgage payment. There's a second way that was introduced, which is to choose a completely different program. In this setup, you completely opt out of the Bilt Cash system and instead earn points based on how much you spend on the credit card. Now, sure, I can get into the math and show you a bunch of calculations here, but it is another way of just saying earn Bilt Cash and pay off the transaction fee with that cash. I'll keep my gripe alive for the rest of the video, so let's move on. So if you look at the levels, you earn 0.5x points off your rent when you use your card and spend at least 25% of your rent on the credit card. So if all the math that we did before wasn't enough, let's introduce some more math. Let's get to the fun part of the video where we break down what all of this means. For me, it's just become another credit card out there in the ecosystem and not a credit card and a system that you use for your rent and mortgage payments. And maybe that was the goal all along for the company, where they are building this neighborhood concept, and that's going to be the prime focus. Meaning you have an ecosystem of things out there like fitness classes, dining options, pharmacies in the neighborhood that you live in, and all of that's being enabled by this credit card. And I know everyone in this space says your mileage may vary, but for most people, I don't think this is a card that should be used for housing and rent payments anymore. Sure, you can push yourself to use it and find out a way to justify it, but there are two reasons why I do not think it makes sense. Reason number one is breaking down the math in the Bilt Cash system, and why that math just doesn't add up. So the Bilt Cash system is supposed to award you 1,000 points for every $30 that you trade in for rent and mortgage payments. I've seen a lot of credit card YouTubers talk about how the Bilt Points system is probably the best out there, and I can argue for or against it, but a system is as good as its base offering. So let's look at that for a second. So if you value Bilt Points at, let's say, 2 cents per point, the 1,000 points that you're earning for trading in the $30 is probably going to be valued $20. So Bilt is telling me that I need to trade in $30 to earn $20 back. And sure, there are use cases where you can earn way more than 2 cents per point. But if you look at the median redemption, and if that's 2 cents per point, that's the value I'm going to assign to this point. So I'm basically paying $10 in spread on that transaction so that I can feel like I'm earning something on my rent and mortgage payments. And let's also look at the math of how you earn that $30 in the first place. To earn $30 in Bilt Cash on that credit card, you have to spend a sum total of $750 because you're earning 4% Bilt Cash on every single dollar. That amount of spend is a massive jump from the previous system. And yes, the company has to justify why that's the case, because for them to be a sustainable company, they need people like you and I to spend on the credit card. I get that. But then as a user, it becomes very difficult for me to say, oh, this is a great credit card for you and I for rent and mortgage payments. You also should be factoring in what the opportunity cost of spending $750 or upwards on this credit card, because you may have other credit cards that earn you a higher multiplier and do not have the complexity and the mathematics required for the Bilt system. Or you may be working towards a welcome bonus that you may have to give up on if you want to earn points on your rent and mortgage payments. Like I said in my previous video that I'll link below the like button, in this space, the credit card should be serving you and not the other way around. The second reason why I believe that all of this shenanigan is just not worth it for your rent and mortgage payment comes down to the second way you can use the Bilt system to pay for your housing expenses, and that's the tiered level system. And my challenge here is, if you're living in a high cost of living city like New York, San Francisco, or Los Angeles, you're hitting a massive roadblock here. Let me explain. So let's assume you live in New York City and you pay $7,000 in rent. In the tiered setup, to get to the base level where you can actually earn any meaningful points, you have to spend 25% of your monthly rent on the card. So if your rent is $7,000, you have to spend a sum total of $1,750 on this credit card so that you can earn 50% of the rent back in points. So that's about 3,500 points. And if you do not get to that level, you're earning a paltry 250 points. And I'll take the 250 points any day of the week. But the point is, if this is being marketed as a housing card, I have a serious problem with it. And the problem stems from not incentivizing the user enough to spend on their credit cards. Like, why should I be spending $1,750 on this credit card if my rent is $7,000 and not on some other credit card? Like, if I'm dining out, why shouldn't I be using the Amex Gold card or the custom cash, where I can earn 4x and 5x back respectively? If you're naturally a big spender and you live in a high cost of living city and you happen to prefer a one card setup, this can make sense, absolutely. But that's a lot of ifs coming together, and I don't know how big that market segment is. So with all of those shenanigans out of the way, what's the conclusion? Now, am I saying that Bilt is going to lose all of its customers and suddenly no one's going to use Bilt? Absolutely not. The point I'm trying to make is that Bilt has changed what it stands for. It doesn't stand for housing payments anymore, not in my view at least. And it has become like any other credit card out there. It has unique features relative to some of the other cards, but it doesn't make it better than some of the other cards out there. I myself am upgrading to the Palladium card not because I want to use this card to make rent payments, but because it becomes my catch-all card and I see positive net value against the $495 annual fee on the credit card. I see myself using the $400 statement credit and the $200 in Bilt Cash to pay off lift expenses or hotel bookings I make through the portal. But I'm not choosing this credit card because I think it's going to be some savior for my housing payments. But the bottom line is that this is no longer a card for your housing expenses. But I want to hear from you. Given the slew of changes that have come to the Bilt program, what do you think of the changes, and are you still going to be using this card for rent payments? Let me know in the comments below. And if there's a part of this equation that I missed out on, let me know that as well. I'll review those comments and respond to each and every one of you. That's it for today's video. Like always, I'll see you in the next one.